All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Newt News Podcast. Today, we've got a fun episode for you. So we're actually going to be tier listing every player that's appeared for the Cardinals this year. That includes people who've been in, 60-plus games like Paul Goldschmidt and guys who've thrown a single inning like Guillermo Zuniga. So this is going to be a fun one. We've got some fun tier names. Andrew's going to get that list up for us right away. And yeah, we're just going to be tier listing your favorite and your least favorite Cardinals. So why don't we just get this going right now? We'll see where everyone kind of falls into the list.
All right. So we have six tiers. The first tier is enlightened. So that's like the best players. A tier stands for 7 All-Stars per Sandy's prediction at the start of the season. I don't think that's coming to fruition, but
stop.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be better than we are.
B tier is for Sandy's prediction that we were better than the Cubs at every position.
Stop.
This is just pure bullying at that point.
Yeah, this is mean.
I mean, in theory, we should be.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I still believe it. Okay. I still believe we're better than the Cubs at every position, even though they smacked us the other day.
C tier is for Jose Seda. For those of you who don't know, Jose Seda is a pitcher for the Marlins. Basically only ever pitched when the situation called for a pitcher needed to be in the game and they had to throw somebody. So
yeah, someone irrelevant. Irrelevant people are Sedas.
D is for philosophical differences. That's what got Mike Schilt fired back in 2019. Was it? No, 2021.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we have philosophical differences with a player, that basically means we want them fired.
It means I don't like them. It means they're bad.
Yeah. And the last tier is kind of self-explanatory. So yeah.
That's rough. He didn't even get like a letter abbreviation. It's just Steven Matz. Yeah. I think I'm gonna have 2 guys in there though. We'll get there in a little bit. All right, so we're just gonna go in name order, I guess, from who's here. So no alphabetical order, no rhyme or reason really. We'll just go through them and see what happens.
All right, so we're gonna start with Jordan Montgomery. We'll lead off with you, Sandy. Which tier do you think he should be in?
Okay, Montgomery for me, he's an A tier. Hear me out. The numbers don't look the best on the surface, but Montgomery's had a really solid year. The win-loss record is a little bit deflated. He should have a couple more wins. We haven't supported him. And when we've needed him, Montgomery has been the guy. In his last start, he was fantastic. I think Montgomery's been a big part of this team. For me, he's in our 7 All-Stars tier.
Yeah, are we only allowing ourselves to put 7 players in that tier, or are we just putting as many players as we want?
I mean, if it ends up that way, we'll see.
All right. So I don't know. I was going to put him in B tier because I feel like he hasn't been like.
We can put him in B tier. What does Gravy think? What do we think here?
Yeah, honestly, I was going to advocate for B tier as well, just because
I can see that.
He had that amazing game against the Cubs last year. When he was just like winning every game that he pitched. I believe that was a complete game against the Cubs. So I think, yeah, no, he has to be in that better than the Cubs tier.
I can see that. I don't know. I like him as an A tier player, but I guess we'll put him in B tier. If we need to make a change, we can. I can see that. That's probably fair. Jack Flaherty, I would say Flaherty and Montgomery have been comparable this year. So where one goes, I'd probably put the other, especially if it's going to be B tier, because I think Jack Flaherty is better than Jose Seda this year. But
he's had a couple Seda-worthy starts. That one,
sure.
Angels comes to mind. But I think he's better than the Cubs at every position, I would say.
Firmly a B tier player.
Yeah. Tommy. A little bit of a divisive one, I feel like.
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, Edman's defense, frankly, has not been as good as it was in seasons past, but he can play center field, which I didn't know.
So I think he belongs in that All-Stars tier, honestly. I mean, he's just the super utility guy, and with him playing center field this year, he shines. Yeah,
I think Tommy Edman is an All-Star.
The power numbers are up a bit too, so I've really enjoyed watching Edman at the plate this year. So yeah, I would give it to him. I'd say A tier. Tyler O'Neill, this could get divisive. Tyler O'Neill, it's been tough for him this year. Personally, he'd be in my philosophical differences tier.
I have philosophical differences with Tyler O'Neill. I agree.
Yeah.
I second that as well.
I think Tyler O'Neill and the team have philosophical differences, as we saw with Raleigh after that one game. Yikes.
Yeah, I think Tyler O'Neill, actually, yeah, now that you bring that up, he's probably the embodiment this season of philosophical differences.
Yeah.
So I think we got to put him in that tier.
That's fair. Michaelis has been the team's best pitcher this year. I have him in A tier.
I think I might have to agree with that. A couple bad starts to start the year, but he's definitely picked it up.
Yeah.
So I think other than Wainwright, the only pitcher on this team that actually has been an all-star. So
Yeah, and I mean,
was Flaherty not an all-star in 19? No, he wasn't. You're right. You're right.
His performance last year as well was just insane. Like,
yeah,
he deserved that all-star call last year.
All-star.
Yeah, Michael's been really good. Really fun to watch this year. He's been an absolute godsend to this rotation. So yeah, definitely an all-star for this team. He's not going to make the all-star game though. So that stinks. Yeah. Jake Woodford. Ooh. You guys tell me first. I want to see if I match up here.
I think Jake Woodford is a Seda.
I agree.
Because yeah, I would have probably put him in philosophical differences if he was still starting, but I think he's a Seda.
He actually looked really good today for what it's worth.
Yeah, I don't think he quite deserves the philosophical differences tier, but he's in that Seda range. I would put him there too.
Yeah, I would give him that as well. Oh, yes. This is my favorite part of the video. Put him in the Steven Matz tier.
The Steven Matz, I think he goes in the Steven Matz tier.
Oh my gosh. I want to like Steven Matz. I really do, but it's been hard this year.
I would have philosophical differences with Steven Matz. The issue is we're paying him $11 million a year. I don't think we're paying Tyler O'Neill even like a third of that. So,
well, that's true because Tyler O'Neill got screwed in arbitration after 2021, but that's a whole nother thing. Yeah, I don't know. Matz this year has been really tough to watch, and he goes to the bullpen, and the results are not better. Didn't he give up a couple runs yesterday too? Or was that just me? Did he go scoreless actually?
I think he went scoreless, but it didn't really matter. It was 9.
Yeah, we were down 7-1. Yeah. A Seda, but even worse.
I mean, if we're paying $11 million for a Seda, I think that's philosophical differences and worse.
Yeah, I agree. It's just tough because Matz is the type of guy that you want the Cardinals to go after. You want him to sign some amount of, experienced, capable starting pitching. And it looked like he could be that. And it just isn't working out. Like that's not what he's been at all. And that stinks. I mean, yeah, that's the Steven Matz discussion. Alec Burleson, I think he's a Seda. Where do you guys have him?
He hasn't been playing, so that fits the definition of a Seda, right? Like you don't play unless you absolutely need to. So I agree with that.
Honestly, I kind of would like to see Burleson at AAA for a little bit because I think he's got the foundation, like the makings of a really good hitter. I like Alec Burleson. I wish he played better defense, and but I really like him long-term as a hitter, and I think he could be a very fine DH for the Cardinals in the future. But, you need him to sort of work on not chasing as much, and so I'd have him in C tier with the potential to be better.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but honestly, I think he belongs in the B tier because I consider him better than most Cubs. I don't know about you guys, but that's just my, unbiased opinion. But
maybe if he hadn't been so unlucky this year.
Yeah, his projected numbers are pretty good.
Really hard.
I don't know. I might even have some philosophical differences with him because I think he should be in the minors. Definitely getting more reps, but I feel like we should
out at C tier.
Yeah, Seda.
Feel good about C tier. Oh, Goldschmidt is S tier.
About C tier as well.
Goldschmidt is enlightened. He's so good again, and we better not trade him, or I will have an aneurysm.
I mean, Goldschmidt, he doesn't hit with runners in scoring position.
No.
I feel like that bumps him down to the all-star tier.
He was the MVP last year.
Yeah, reigning MVP, and he's playing like an MVP again.
Okay.
Goldie is the man.
I guess Goldie is our first enlightened player.
Goldie hit with runners in scoring position today. Okay, he drove in a clutch run, gave us the lead.
Man,
he has forearms bigger than my calf muscles. Like it's just ridiculous. The dude can
agree.
Break face
trunks.
I feel like this might hurt some people.
This is gonna be rough.
Who wants to go first?
I would like to go last.
Okay.
I'll go. I honestly think, based on Waino's career, he deserves that all-star tier. Like, ignore this year. Like, besides this year, he deserves me that all-star tier for his career.
I feel like we're not ranking based on their career, though.
Yeah,
if he was based on career, he'd be an enlightened, but like...
Yeah.
I might have to go with the Seda. Or philosophical differences even, because $17 million this year to be below average.
I'll say I won't fault Waino for the money we're paying him. It's not like Matz, where you wanted it to be a bargain. Like you knew you were giving Waino a lot of money and that money wasn't going to go anywhere else. You know, it didn't really matter. The organization was either going to spend the money on Waino or spend less on Waino and not spend the money elsewhere. So it's not a Matt situation. It's a 1-year deal. But yeah, I would agree. I'm probably in C tier with Waino this year because I like watching him still. He's still Adam Wainwright. And when he has it, he still has it. His start right before the other day was really good. And then just absolutely disastrous in London. So I would say probably C tier for Adam. I'm really excited, though, to watch him continue chasing 200 wins. That's a highlight of the season for me, probably.
That hurts. He probably would have been an A tier last season and the year before, but
yeah,
it's tough.
For sure. It's a shame. I've heard this narrative going around lately that Waino shouldn't have come back and that he like spoiled a storyline by not retiring with Pujols and Yachty. But I don't think that's fair to him. I think Wainwright had every reason to come back this year. You know, I mean, you couldn't really have predicted that he was going to come to spring training and just not have velocity anymore. Like no one can really tell when that's going to go. So it's a shame that it went right now, you know? But it's sad. I hope he can get to 200. Definitely be excited about that. So, you know, had a great career.
For the next one, I might actually put Kisner in better than the Cubs at every position because I think he is better than their catchers, you know? He's been a very serviceable backup catcher, which is exactly what we needed him to be. He held it down when Contreras was supposedly the DH or whatever. So it's been hitting good.
Yeah, I mean, the competition for the Cubs is Yan Gomes and
Tucker Barnhart.
Tucker Barnhart. Yeah, I mean, I would 100% put him in the B tier for that then.
He'd probably be the starting catcher for the Cubs, you know.
I mean, Kisner's running career highs at pretty much every spot right now. He's been fantastic this year and, you know, better than ever before, it feels like. So yeah, I'd probably put him in B tier. He seems to handle the pitching staff really well. The guys really like him, so I'm okay with that. Although the average has come down a little bit since a hot start.
Ooh, DeYoung.
Paulie D.
Now, is Paulie D better than Dansby Swanson this year? I say 100%.
Yes.
Give me C tier for Paulie D. This is the best we've seen him play since 2019.
C tier?
I would put him at B tier. He's better than Dansby Swanson.
I was going to put him in A tier. NL All-Star shortstop Paul DeYoung. I think he's been better than people give him credit for. He has more home runs than Turner, Swanson, Correa, and Bogarts.
Those are low bars, though. Those guys have all stunk this year. Paul DeYoung, I've got the numbers up right now. He's got a 104 OPS plus, a 757 OPS, and he's playing good defense. Maybe that's B tier, but it's definitely not A tier. I mean,
he threw a ball today that led to 4 runs. I'm a little mad at him for that one.
Yeah. He's also made like some really untimely mistakes in the field, but that's bad luck. But I don't know. I think Paul DeYoung strikes out enough. I mean, he's got 58 strikeouts in literally less than 200 at bats. So, I mean, he's running he's got like a 34% strikeout rate or something. To me, that's C tier material. Even if he runs into a couple and puts him over the fence, he's not taking the most productive at bats.
I think he's better than the Cubs, at least better than the Cubs at every position. B tier. I think he has to be B tier.
I mean, if I get overruled, I get overruled. But on my personal tier list, okay, he's C tier. But that's fine. How bad has Swanson been? Let me pull up the numbers for Swanson.
He hasn't been great. He really hasn't.
My vote's for B tier, honestly. He deserves it this year. And if we're ignoring previous seasons, then I feel like he's got to be there.
I mean, Swanson's still better than DeYoung this year. He's got a higher OPS. He's been worth 3 WAR already, which is kind of nuts. He's played really good defense. But, I mean, Paulie D's been a 1 WAR player in limited time. So, yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Now we're getting to some of the players that are kind of irrelevant. James Nail played for like maybe a week.
I like James Nail. Put him in Enlightened. No, I'm kidding. give him probably like C or D tier. You know, he's fine. I like him as a reliever. I wish we hadn't DFA'd him on his birthday.
Yeah, I think for that reason he belongs in philosophical differences. That's fine. That's terrible.
That's
so sad. Imagine celebrating your birthday and then all of a sudden you look on your phone and you see you're DFA'd. And
it's like your hometown team, right? He's a Cape Girardeau guy, big Cardinals fan.
That's horrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, he probably spends a lot of time in Cape Girardeau. He's constantly on the shuttle between Memphis and St. Louis. He's in that like 4A purgatory.
Man,
Oh my
he was in
gosh.
London. He was on the taxi squad, so he got.
Hey, let's
nice go
go.
there. Yeah,
That's my guy. Oh, Wani, Albertcito. We haven't seen any of him this year.
I kind of have philosophical differences with Juan Yepes. I feel like there's so many players that do what he does, and
Yeah.
they actually play decently in the field. I don't know. I feel like
Yeah,
that's a little
I
bit
think that's
harsh.
the definition of C tier, though. I think him and Burleson are the same type of player right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I can't forget his huge home run
Yeah.
against the Phillies in the wild card series.
Sure.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
It's the only
Like,
good moment from
Well,
that series.
I mean, last year, honestly, Yepes was making a case for B tier. Last year, he was really fun to watch, but I would say C tier is appropriate this year.
Liberator.
Honestly, throw Libby in C tier too. I like his stuff, and I think it's much improved from last year, but it hasn't played yet.
Yeah, I mean, he in theory could have had a good start if the Cubs didn't score like 400 runs in the first inning. He was doing okay. So
Very true.
I think Seda.
And I think like Burleson and honestly Yepes, Liberator, there's upward mobility available to him. Like he could be really good. And I'm not ready to punt on him at all as a prospect. He's penciled into my rotation for next year.
Jordan Walker has to be enlightened, right? Surely.
He's been so good. He doesn't get talked about nearly enough on the nationwide stage. And it's because guys like Corbin Carroll and Ellie De La Cruz might be flashier and they might want to talk about themselves more. But Jordan Walker has been fabulous. Enlightened.
Enlightened 100%. Yep. I mean, now he's on like a 15-game hit streak or something.
Dude's on an absolute heater since he got called back
That's
up.
his second hitting streak of more than 13 games in his first year as a Cardinal. I mean, that's just ridiculous. He's on fire.
I mean, he's still got a negative 0.3 WAR, which we probably should address. But since he got called back up, it's been so much better. He's been hitting really well. He's had a great June. His OPS is near 1,000 for the month. He's taking more walks. His OPS plus is 130, which as a rookie is pretty unheard of. I mean, he's really good. He's going to be a really good player.
I mean, if we're going to continue to be in this like trying to win situation, which I don't necessarily agree with, Jordan Walker is going to be DHing pretty much every day. So
that works for me.
Yeah. I think enlightened for Jordan Walker. I think Lars Nootbaar is also enlightened. The team wins a lot more when he's around. He's been hurt a lot this year.
Yeah.
Personality is there. Like he fires the team up when we're in a slump. And more importantly, he's been like a really good leadoff guy. Really good defensive outfielder. Probably the one bright spot defensively. Except for I mean, Tommy Edman's been fine, but
I think Nootbaar is A tier. I think we need to be selective with our S tier. And I think while he's been really good, he's not as good as last year. Personally, as someone who was on the Nootbaar's about to go nuclear hype train, I'm a little disappointed. And I think he is an A tier player right now. His OPS plus is 108. He's still getting on base. He's a machine, but the power hasn't been there in nearly the same fashion that we hoped. So I would have him as an A tier player.
And really not put Nootbaar in enlightened.
Yeah, honestly, we are Newt News. I think he deserves the enlightened status just because of the podcast. But, he is an international sensation, and he started a movement all across the world for pepper grinding. So I think we have to put him in. He deserves it.
True. That was the season. That was the season. Donovan.
I've been a fan of Donovan lately. Yeah. He's been really hot for all of June.
All-star?
Probably an A-tier player for me. I've got his numbers up right now. He's hitting 270. He's only been worth 1 WAR, which is kind of a shame because he was worth like 4 last year. So he's on pace to be less valuable than last year. Probably a B or A-tier player, though. I wish he got into games a little bit more often, but I guess he's played in 70. It's probably as many as anyone else. But it's the same story as Lars Nootbaar. He was like a 125 OPS plus guy last year, dropped down to about 110 this year. So B or A would be fine with me.
I think I'm good with A tier. But looking at some of the other players on this list, we might have to, if we want 7 all-stars, like up in these 2 tiers.
I don't need 7 guys up there. Okay. I got to be objective and honest. And I think a lot of our guys have underperformed.
Yeah, that's very true. Some of these guys have been rather disappointing, and I think we're kind of coming up on those guys right now. Nolan
Yeah.
Arenado, the defense has been really bad, unfortunately.
Yeah. Arenado to me right now is a B tier Cardinal. He's been worth less WAR than Donovan. And he's had a better bat than Donovan, which just shows you that the defense, which is traditionally his best attribute, has kind of fallen off a cliff. It's a real shame. He's a 115 OPS plus guy. He's got an OPS hanging around 800, and yet he's not even a one more player 70 games into the year. Surprising to say the least.
Yeah, he's going to be an all-star though, which is weird that we're not putting him in that tier. I guess.
I mean, I think he belongs in the All-Star tier at the very least. He's been one of the best hitters on our team consistently.
Sure, but I expect Nolan Arenado to play defense. And so I would say, I expect Arenado to be like an enlightened player on this team.
Yeah.
And, the drop-off in production this year compared to last year is disappointing enough for me. I mean, his OPS plus last year was 151, and he's dropped down to 115. For me, that's a 36% decrease. That's enough for me to say he's a B tier player because of my disappointment and not meeting expectations.
It's crazy. Like, imagine at the start of the season, I told you to be putting Arenado in the same tier as Kisner and DeYoung.
Yeah, that's wild.
Not great. All right, Willson Contreras. The reason why we're playing badly, apparently, it's all his fault.
I don't know. He's playing well right now. Probably C tier for me.
I hate to do this, but I think he is the definition of philosophical differences, which is terrible. I hate to say I love him. I love Willson Contreras, and he had a great game today. He was 4 for 4. But
I don't think you can put him any lower than C tier.
No, I
put him in B tier.
I agree, but they blamed the entire pitching situation on Willson.
But that's not his fault. I think we're all in agreement.
I love Willson Contreras, but based on that interaction at the beginning of the season, I think he would fit that category of philosophical differences.
I think he's in philosophical differences based on performance to this point. Willson will be the first person to tell you that he's had a bad season. I don't think he's a bad player. I'm a huge Contreras fan. I love the signing, and I'm very hopeful that he'll be able to right the ship. But right now, Contreras is hitting to a 203 average. That is not going to cut it. And Willson knows that. He knows he can't hover around the Mendoza line. So I think it's okay to label this 75 game stretch from him as bad and be objective. I mean, he's been worth less WAR than the backup, Kisner. And he's started a lot more games, and he's gotten a lot more at bats, and he hasn't produced. He's got an OPS plus of 76. That's just not going to cut it from your starting catcher that you signed to be your third impact bat. And I think Willson knows that, and he'd probably be the first person to tell you that. But again, not a personal knock. I agree with Gravy. It's been tough, but I think he can get out of it and obviously make up for it. I think at his best, he's an all-star caliber player. We've seen him win a bunch in the past. So I have hope for him moving forward this year and next year.
I mean, I was going to put him in C tier, but I guess I got outvoted. I think Contreras still has shown us that with the bat, he's very, very good. We had a slump, obviously, recently, but he said he lost all his confidence. And you know what? I don't really blame him because the front office showed that they have no faith in him.
Very true.
That's to the philosophical differences. I don't know. So I guess maybe I just proved your point.
Well, I think he's a better player than D tier again, but all right, DC3. Oh man, he's having a decent year. He's been okay. I don't know. Probably C tier for me personally. Where do you guys have him?
They kind of treat him like a Seda. He doesn't always play, even though I think he should play over Burleson and maybe even over DeYoung, honestly, now with Nootbaar back. But I think Carlson should get a lot more playing time than he does, but they're kind of treating him like a Seda.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's in the C tier. But it's his 4th year in the bigs, and at some point, as Jeffrey Jones said, he's got to produce and he's got to be consistent with it. So, I think he belongs in that C tier.
I'd agree with that, and obviously you can't blame a player for injuries, but him being hurt has not helped this year. And he's someone that you want to be able to sharpie into the lineup, but his availability has been questionable. He was hurt last year. He's hurt this year. And he's just been an average hitter. Although the power's up this year from last year, which is good. That's encouraging. If his power can continue to play, I mean, that's something we saw from him in the minors and something we all expected, and it just wasn't there after his rookie season. So hopefully that can keep up. And I still think, he's very young. He has the chance to be a fantastic everyday player moving forward. But he's going to have to grow, like Gravy said.
Man, if we did this like 2 weeks ago, Nolan Gorman would be enlightened for sure.
Oh, absolutely. But now he's B tier. That slump
tier. No, I think he's still an all-star, I think. You can't discredit what he did earlier in the season.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about a small sample size. And for this entire month, which is a third of the season, he's been basically a black hole offensively.
I mean, I would put him in the all-star tier.
Yeah.
Even so, like, he still has, let's see, 793 OPS, 15 home runs, 47 RBIs. He's like, I believe top 7 in RBIs in the National League. Top 5.
Yeah. And I think he has a chance to get into the all-star game, especially if he produces over the next few weeks. He has a chance to sneak in as like a replacement. So that's fair. And he's grown a lot from last year. I shouldn't discredit that. He makes much better swing decisions, is more likely to take walks, although the strikeout rate's really high over the last month too.
I think Gorm goes in all-star tier. Maybe another month of this and he'll move down to B tier, but I think he's exceeded expectations still, even like this. I didn't think he was going to be as good as he has been.
That's fair.
And there was like a month where he was just hitting a home run like every day.
That was really nice. I mean, his OPS plus is up from last year, which is nice. And he plays much better defense than last year. And that shouldn't go unnoticed.
All right, Taylor Motter. That's a name I have not heard in a long time.
Dude, put him in the Mats tier.
Yeah, no disagreements from me. Mats tier, 100%.
I mean, I feel like the Mats tier should be reserved for very, very special players. And I don't think Taylor Motter really did all that much while he was up with the club. Like, did he really cost us as many games as Mats did? And are we really paying him as much?
I would argue Motter probably cost us like one game. He had that error that really gave a bunch of runs. The problem with Motter, like, he was just taking away a roster spot for like 3 weeks.
I mean, that's what Burleson is doing.
No, but Burleson has a lot more value than Motter. Like, Burleson comes up and I'm like, all right, yeah, this guy might be able to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Motter, it's like, yikes. What's this 33-year-old guy with no service time doing on our roster?
But I feel like for a guy we're paying league minimum to just sit on the bench, I feel like philosophical differences, that kind of fits the bill.
I just think to be a D tier player, you have to produce like something. Like O'Neill actually like put up actual numbers.
Contreras, they were not good numbers. I think Taylor Motter might have a higher OPS this season than Tyler O'Neill. You might not expect that, but
I mean, like, he just didn't do anything. And in my opinion, like, that is the definition of F tier. It was so bad that they weren't even willing to let him get into the game. Although he had that one like 117 mile an hour line out, and that was kind of cool. So maybe I'll allow D tier. That was kind of neat.
Yeah, I feel like it's mean to put him in Steven Matz tier.
That's fair.
Right next to Contreras, where we thought he would be. Ryan Helsley. He's been
formerly a Seda, formerly enlightened, currently a B tier player.
I think I have to agree with that. Definitely not an all-star like we all thought coming into the year.
I second that. That's accurate. Still better than
I like Ryan Helsley, and I think he's going to be a big part of this team moving forward if this team's going to contend at all. But to this point in the season, Helsley has been disappointing at best. He has flashes like that inning against the Reds in the game that a player up soon blew, where, he came into the game and got 3 strikeouts. That was awesome. That's all we needed from him. But at other times, Helsley has been a little lost.
Guillermo Zuniga, I think he had one appearance, but it was a good appearance. It was a good one.
Throw him in D tier.
D tier.
Throw him in D tier. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as Nail and Motter, and to a lesser extent O'Neill.
I saw a meme on Twitter where it was like Guillermo Zuniga is going to be 2021 Alex Reyes, 2022 Ryan Helsley, and 2023 Jordan Hicks. I feel like
I can't wait to rank Hicks.
That's going to be a tough one.
No, it's going to be great.
I feel like there's a couple of these relievers we've had discussions on that we don't quite agree on, like Chris Stratton. I think Chris Stratton is a definitive Seda.
I'll probably agree with you there. Maybe he's a B tier guy. Stratton, for all intents and purposes, has been much better than we wanted him to be this year. I remember a lot of people who wanted him off the team in spring training, and I may have been one of those people who said, please DFA this man because he was not very good last year.
No,
I mean,
but no,
Chris Stratton.
after the trade to the Cardinals, like he put up much better numbers than he was ever doing in Pittsburgh. And
Yeah.
he's continued to show that he's can be like a reliable guy, in the seventh inning. So I think he belongs in the B tier and maybe fringe C tier, but honestly, I think he's shown enough to me to be in B.
Yeah, he's probably a B tier player for me. He's a capable reliever right now.
He's the definition of a Sata, though. Like back in the early games this season, when there was like a 10-run lead, who do you call on? It's just Chris Stratton to get like 2 innings to eat those innings.
I think he's worked his way up. I think he's definitely worked his way up through the bullpen ranks. For me, Chris Stratton's like borderline circle of trust kind of guy. Like I would say, yeah, I want Hicks in the game right now. And then like Gio, and then like Cabby or Stratton are probably my next like mid-leverage options. And that's a B tier player to me. I'm looking at his numbers. He's been really unlucky. His FIP is 3.06. He's not allowing a ton of base runners. He's keeping the home runs down to a minimum, just 0.7 per 9, which is great. He's not walking a lot of guys. It's actually down from last year. He's striking more people out. Got a 4.0 strikeout to walk ratio. Like these are all the markings. These are great peripherals of a really decent reliever who I feel comfortable handing him the ball in the 7th inning. And if he can be a decent setup guy, that's a B tier player to me.
Sounds good. Oh, okay. I'll let you guys take the stage with Trace Barrera.
Matt's tier.
Matt's tier. He had more pass balls than at bats this season.
So bad.
That's unreal.
I mean, frankly, like we shouldn't have been in that position. I think we're better than the Reds. I don't care about this win streak. I think we're better than the Reds, and we should have just won the game. But to have Barrera come in and that pass ball just pretty much directly influenced the game. You let the runner get to third, and then he scores on a sac fly where there's no way he's scoring before because he's on second base, and then there'd be 2 outs in the inning, and we could get out of it. But instead, Trace Barrera does the only thing he's done all year, which is blow a game. So, I don't know. Matt's tier for me.
I mean, I guess you guys are in agreement, but I feel like Matt's should be reserved for only players like Greg Holland, who you pay a lot of money, and they're just terrible.
I don't know. When a player like has a small sample size and only ruins things, that would be Matt's tier for me. That to me would be the definition of F tier, which we've substituted with Steven Matz.
Yeah.
Giovanni
Gallegos. So good earlier this year, and now kind of fell off.
He's been decent lately. He was good in London.
Did he pitch in London? Did he pitch today?
Yeah.
Oh, he did. That's right. He pitched like the 7th or something. I don't know. Better than the Cubs at every position.
Yeah,
who's
throw
the
him in
Cubs closer? We didn't see him this series because it wasn't a safe situation.
Who is their closer right now?
Mark Leiter, maybe?
They've gone through a couple of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Merriweather's closed out some games, but he's not been very good. So I don't know.
So B tier?
It's kind of been a committee thing, I think. I honestly might have leaned A tier for Gio, considering, in my opinion, he's our second best reliever right now.
Ooh.
But I think high B tier is fine. That's fine. Because this next guy is enlightened. Put Hicks in S tier, okay?
No.
Yes.
For what he did earlier in the season, I feel like he bumps to 7 All-Stars. He can't be enlightened for like the 3 losses he cost us at the start of the season.
That might be true, but man, I am riding the Jordan Hicks train right now. Apparently today he pitched with strep throat and closed out the game and got the save. That's awesome.
He gave up a run though.
Sure, but I mean, he got it done. And that's something that the Cardinals haven't been able to do this year. In my opinion, Hicks is invaluable to this team right now. He is absolutely critical to moving forward. If you're going to do anything, it's going to run through Jordan Hicks at this point, which is not what I wanted to be saying back in April when he was horrible. But Jordan Hicks, easily the most capable reliever on the team right now. When they hand him the ball, I feel great.
I'd put him in the A tier. in terms of his production this season, and he had I think 3 day in a row, like 3 save streak, like
S
perfect,
tier material.
perfect 3 game stretch there. So he's proved his worth.
I feel like if you're gonna discount Gorman for his last bad month, we should discount Hicks for his first bad month.
Yeah, but I love recency bias, and I'm totally recency biased, and I am riding the Hicks train because right now he is easily the best reliever on this team. It's okay if we leave him in A tier, I understand, but on my personal tier list, man, I mean he's at the middle of the circle of trust right now.
If you're going recency bias, Gorman is like a Seda.
No, but I still like Nolan Gorman. Oh, this is the most biased list I've ever made in my life.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah. Zach Thompson. Oh, I wanted Zach Thompson to be our best lefty reliever this year. I hate the way the Cardinals treated him.
Yeah, put him in the C tier. Like, it's unfortunate, but his production wasn't good enough to be in the majors.
Well, I don't think that's the problem. I think the Cardinals wanted to turn him into a starter.
That's ridiculous. I don't understand that at all. Like, they put him down in Memphis to be a starter. He was like terrible for his first 2 starts because he's not starter material. I think they should just call him back up right now. Personally, I'd go with B tier for the time that he was up. He was really, really good.
Well, I mean, so Thompson's numbers this year are a little bit confusing. He's running a 4.63 ERA, which is way up from his 2.08 ERA last year. But his FIP's actually down. He's got a 3.5 FIP. His whip is a little high because he's had a lot of batted ball luck that's been really bad, giving up a lot of hits. But, he hadn't allowed a single home run. He was striking out 14 per 9, which is great. If he can provide that kind of strikeout stuff from the left side, moving forward, he could be one of your best relievers. But yeah, the Cardinals decided for absolutely no reason to just abandon the course on him as a reliever and try to develop him as a starter. And it's gone really badly. He's not looked great as a starter. And it's because he's got 2 pitches. He's probably a full-time reliever, and that's okay. The Cardinals obviously don't want a former first-round pick to become a reliever. That's not the value you want out of the first round. But if he's going to be a quality guy long-term, then I'm fine with it. But yeah, probably a C tier or D tier right now.
Andre Palante. I kind of have philosophical differences with him. I don't know why we keep using him that much. He was really good last year, but this year he's been not great.
Palante's numbers, again, are better than people realize. He's got a 4.23 ERA on the year. His ERA plus is still 1.03, so it's hanging in there. Not as good as last year, but, I mean, the walks are up, but so are the strikeouts. I don't know. He still gets ground balls. It's just the shift, not having the shift available is punishing pitch to contact guys like him. And so in my opinion, he's probably a C tier guy. He's been serviceable. He hasn't been bad.
Yeah, he hasn't been like absolutely terrible this season. He's done his job for the most part, so I would put him in the C tier.
He's just not. He doesn't exist anymore.
He's out for the year.
Yeah.
Didn't he just get surgery?
Like some form of Tommy John, but not like the full thing. So it's unfortunate. He had that really good moment last year against the Dodgers. I feel like that's kind of all we really got out of him.
I was excited for what Packy could do this year because I think there are things to like about him as a pitcher, especially coming from the left side again. He's got a little bit of a funky look, and I hoped that he could be a capable reliever for us. I really wanted him and Zach Thompson to be, our left-handed options this year. I thought rolling with them and then still having a resurgent cabbie available could be a really, really strong approach from the left side. But our left side has just been decimated this year. And Naughton's another example of that. And that's why for me, he's probably a D tier player. He just didn't have time to do anything before he got hurt.
I think Genesis Cabrera is also a D tier player. I know you guys probably a little bit more high on him, but I'm just not really fond of the way he plays the game. He has like little celebrations after he strike out. I feel like he can start celebrating once he gets his ERA below like 4.6 or whatever it's at. Like, it's just not great. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I second that. I think I agree with the celebration part, at least. Like the Cabrera shuffle was pretty cool, but only when he's doing well, not when he's not with his inflated ERA as it is.
Yeah, I mean, there are some things to like about Cabby. The strikeouts are way up. He's striking out 10.5 per 9. I've got his numbers up here, but the walks are so bad. He's walking 5 per 9 innings pitched. And when you've thrown 27 innings like he has, that's a lot of walks. It's like 15 walks. So that's just not going to get it done. Probably right with D tier here. I liked him. He was resurgent at the beginning of the year. But it's just another example of left-handed options not working out for the Cardinals this year. That's a shame.
I think Oscar Mercado's enlightened. When I'm at the ballpark, he hits like 800, so I think that settles it. No, I don't know.
C tier. Mercado's a perfectly capable defensive replacement outfielder. He can play some center, which I really like. The versatility's nice. He's not going to hit for power, but he's going to try to put it in play. He's scrappy. He's a C tier guy for me.
Oscar MVP Cotto. Put him in enlightened, baby. Come on. He deserves it.
Drew Verhagen. We've had our discussions about Drew Verhagen.
C tier.
C tier. Oh, really?
I'm a known Drew Verhagen defender. But lately the results have been not great. C tier for me.
Wow. We agreed on Drew Verhagen. I did not think that was going to happen.
I mean, I'm pulling up his numbers just to give him a quick review. But yeah, I mean, he's a 4.33 ERA. So it's fine. His ERA plus is hanging right around at 100, just league average. His FIP's a little lower. He's had a bit of bad luck. He's keeping the whip down. But again, the problem with him is the problem with a lot of our relievers, and it's the walks, and it's just a really high hits per 9. Like, his batted ball luck sucks. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about the fact that for some reason against the 2023 Cardinals, 85-mile-an-hour ground balls produce hits. Like, you can't stop that. And if it's going to happen to Drew Verhagen over and over again, he'll be a C-tier player. But I think he has the potential, if he sticks with his stuff and is confident, to be a B-tier reliever.
Agreed. Lucan Baker.
I like Lucan.
He like 10.
I think C tier is valid for him. Like, he has a 572 OPS right now. And granted, it's only 14 at bats. He's mostly riding the bench, but he hasn't shown enough to be a starting guy. So
I would lean D tier with Baker. I think he fits in the same group as a lot of the guys down there. Like, Nail could be a productive player. Guillermo Zuniga could be a productive player. We've seen O'Neill and Naughton and Cabby all be productive, but like, small sample size, just hadn't done much. Probably D tier for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Same with Jojo Romero.
Yeah, Jojo fits in there too.
Yeah.
I mean, 1-for-1 swap for Sosa. I guess Romero provides us more value than Sosa would this year, so that's fine. I really wish Sosa hadn't made the final out though against us. Like, that sucked. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, there you have it. I think that's a solid list. I'm happy with it. It's actually pretty balanced, with a lot of the guys hanging around B, C, and D like we kind of expected. Most of the regulars are there in the middle. You'd love to see those guys play better and move up. But,
I mean, if I told you at the start of the year Nolan Arenado would be in the same tier as Stratton, DeYoung, and Kisner, you'd been like, that's really bad. And same with Contreras being in the same tier as Taylor Motter and like Jojo Romero. It's just not good.
I agree, but there are some bright spots too. If we knew Jordan Walker's numbers were going to look like this at the plate, we'd all be thrilled, because he's come up immediately and shown an ability to hit big league pitching and then to get fooled and adjust, which is something you just don't see in a lot of rookies. So it's really impressive. All right. So thanks for joining us for our tier listing portion of this episode. Having a little fun, changing things up. We're going to hope to do more stuff like that in the future. But we also have to get down to business. And the Cardinals played in London this weekend. It was an awesome environment, a lot of fun playing overseas, I'm sure. There were some really cool pictures from the trip. I hope everyone over there had a fantastic time. And the Cardinals did okay. They got the split. Game 1 was a little ugly. They lost 9-1 before winning 7-5 today. We're just going to get a few quick takeaways in here. Andrew and Gravy, let's just discuss Game 1, I guess, to start.
Yeah, Game 1 was pretty ugly. Wainwright took accountability for his really, really bad start, and basically was like, yeah, it's my fault that we lost the game. Also, London Stadium is really weird, and I feel like at least one of those 2 half home runs probably would have stayed in the yard anywhere else.
Yeah.
But not what you like to see out of Wainwright. Definitely not for his last season. Definitely makes me question whether or not he should have went out with his buddies last season, but not what you wanted to be saying.
Agreed.
I mean, it was brutal with Wainwright, but honestly, Justin Steele had a no-hitter into the 6th inning or something like that. So our offense also wasn't producing. So it was just a bad game overall for everyone on the team. But today was much better. We had that comeback. I think it was like a 5-1 deficit. Does that sound right?
4-0.
4-0. Yeah. So we came back and we still won the game from that. So
Yeah.
today was definitely a lot better. And of course, Jordan Walker has his 15-game hitting streak going. So, I mean, there's still bright spots in this team.
Absolutely. Today's game was a lot of fun. And if you talk to Cardinals fans right now, you wouldn't even know that the Cardinals have won 5 of their last 7. It's been a very positive stretch of baseball over the last week. And the last week and change even. Going back to the beginning of the Mets series, they're playing winning ball. And yeah, I mean, sure, the negativity around this season is really hard to get past. And when the Cardinals go down 4-0 in the first, especially with Marcus Stroman, the NL ERA leader on the mound, I believe that's still true. Well, not after today. Thank goodness. But with them on the mound and a 4-0 cushion, you figure, here we go again. But the Cardinals were able to battle back. It was really great to see them erase that deficit and then continue and pile on and score 7, to give us an actual chance to close it out and win. And the insurance runs were huge. Was able to give Jordan Walker a chance. And even with the mistakes we made today, the Cardinals found a way to win. And so I think those are all really positive things. Jordan Walker looked great in London. It was a bummer to not see any home runs, especially in a small ballpark. I wanted to see us inflate some of the statistics. But yeah, overall, they split. And can't complain about a split. If the Cardinals manage to split every even game series for the rest of the year, we'll probably all be pretty happy, as long as they win some of the odd game series too. So,
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed with the defense and how it played in the first inning. I think it was 3 errors, eventually reversed to 2 errors. One of those errors was later ruled a hit, but you just can't play defense like that. This team is built around its defense, a lot of ground ball pitchers.
Yeah.
I was concerned about the shift playing a role in the Cardinals pitching being worse this season, but it's clearly just the defense not being as good as it was supposed to be. Arenado made another bad play today.
Yeah.
We just can't be having that out of a 10-time Gold Glove winner. He still hasn't played a season yet where he hasn't won a Gold Glove, and that's probably this season now, which is really unfortunate.
It will probably change that. I will say I don't want to make a lot of excuses for our defense, but the turf there is really weird. You could see, on anything hits the outfield, you could see it took massive hops. It was probably really hard to play deep for what it's worth. So I can kind of understand why some of the errors we've made. And that makes sense as to why the Cubs also played some sloppy defense, didn't play everything properly. It was a tough environment to be playing in. It's not a baseball field at the end of the day. I'm just glad the Cardinals get to come home now after, an 8-game road trip where they did their job and went 5-3. We're going to come back to Busch Stadium for a very critical week here. So the Cardinals will play 3 against Houston and 3 against New York over the next 6 days starting, I guess they have the off day tomorrow. So starting Tuesday, they'll play all the way through Sunday. Like I said, huge series. What to you guys are really the keys of this series? And what does this mean?
You have 2 struggling teams in Houston and the Yankees. Neither have really lived up to expectations. The Yankees are playing without Judge. He might not be healthy for the rest of the season. So that's really tough for them, but you got to take advantage of that. The Yankees without Judge, I think, are like the 29th best offense by OPS in the league. So they're really, really bad without him. The pitching is going to be an issue. I think we do face Garrett Cole and we do face Framber Valdez, which you don't want to see against those 2 teams, but I guess you got to do what you got to do. And if we take 2 of 3 from both teams, I think that will really shoot us in the right direction. Yeah. We also could get swept twice. I don't know. And then, we're sellers at the trade deadline by then.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I'm not that scared of the Yankees at all. Their past month has looked terrible. I believe their average, their batting average for most of the team is around 100 or 200 for this past month. Stanton is mostly just striking out up there. And the Astros, they're also underperforming, and sure they have their aces, but they're also struck by the injury bug. Same with the Yankees. So I think we can steal 4 out of the 6 games. Hopefully, that's possible.
Yeah, and it's got to be noted the Cardinals playing the NL Central. That's why they're not out of it yet. And some of these NL Central teams are going to have tough games coming up. I believe Cincinnati has to go on the road to Baltimore, who's done nothing but win this year. So that's very good. We'd love to see them drop a couple games there. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the Cardinals taking care of business. If we don't win, it doesn't matter if anyone else loses. So yeah, I'd love to see the Cardinals. I think you need to win at least 4 games against the Astros and Yankees. If you can take 4, I think they maintain their position as tentative competitors right now. If you lose 5 or 6 of these games, like if you go 0-6 or 1-5, you probably just solidified your position as a seller at the deadline, and you're probably punting on the season. Does that mean they can't win in 2024? Absolutely not. But it means you're probably not going to win this year. This is a big stretch of baseball. The last stretch of baseball is big. Everything's big moving forward when you're as far under 500 as the Cardinals are. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into this episode of the Noot News Podcast. It was a ton of fun to tier list all of the current Cardinals. Please, in the comments, let us know what we got wrong, what we got right. If you got any spicy takes, we'd absolutely love to hear them. Also, share this with your friends, comment, like, subscribe, and check out our merch. Again, Andrew has whipped up some incredible designs. My favorite is the Gorm design, which I've rocked at the ballpark already, and I'll be hopefully doing it this week if I can get out there. But yeah, stay faithful, Cardinal Nation. Enjoy some baseball this week, and, embrace a positive stretch of baseball. The Cardinals went 5-2 over their last 7 games. Nothing to scoff at. Hopefully we can continue winning. And yeah, have a great week, everybody. We'll see you soon.